how can people learn to be happy with their decisions then? Getting into and getting out of relationships and all of the things they're in, without it being about a single incident, what is an overarching way to make better decisions or to be happier with your decisions?
Yeah. So we talked about how I have this intentionally ever after mug, and I really do believe in this intentional approach to love. And so, what that might look like, and there's a whole menu of things, and people can pick and choose what works for them. But a lot of it is just owning your past behavior. And so, in my class, Date Smarter, we do this activity called the relationship audit, and people have a lot of resistance to it. They don't necessarily enjoy it. But you basically say, who are the people I've dated? Why did it end? What was good about this relationship? What was bad? What side of me did they bring out? If they understand attachment theory, then was that person anxious or avoidant or secure? And so really saying what's gone on in my past, and then looking at your patterns and saying, wow, I tend to meet more people in person. Maybe the dating apps aren't a good fit for me. That's a takeaway. Or I tend to like someone until they like me back, and then I don't trust them and I run away. Or my version of love is chasing after someone. And so a lot of it is understanding what's your past behavior and how can you make different choices in the future. Then there's understanding what matters and what doesn't for long-term relationship success. And so some of the things that matter less than people think they do are things like looks and money. Yes, hot people are great. Rich people are great, sure. But whatever you have, you adapt to it over time. And so the feeling of being wealthy is something that you get used to, and it doesn't impact your life as much as you'd think. People also overestimate having the same personality or having the same interests. Those matter, but they're not actually huge factors. The things that do matter are things like loyalty, kindness, someone who's emotionally stable, a person who you can fight well with. Yes, fight well because fighting is inevitable. Somebody who you can make hard decisions with. And then what's really become the most important one to me, which is what side of you that person brings out. Because I don't care about their resume. I don't care about what's on paper. Who are you when you are with them? Because that's who you'll be for a lot of your life.
One of the conversations we've had a lot on the show recently has been to do with the asymmetries in the dating market, that increasingly women are out earning men, they're out educating men, and you have an ever increasing group of high performing women competing for an ever decreasing group of ultra high performing turbo chads at the top. Given the fact that you've identified there that looks, money, a lot of the status markers that typically are either utilized, commercialized, weaponized by dating apps and online dating aren't necessarily the things that predict long-term relationship success. How would you advise girls to try and overcome their innate hypergamy, their desire to date up and across, to find the dude with the six-figure income that's 6 foot tall with a 6-inch whatever?
Yeah. I mean, there are so many interesting historical things here that I can pull from, including just one example. I remember I went to a talk a few years ago where the guy was talking about how, like, historically most doctors have been men and men would marry their nurses. And now actually a lot of male doctors marry female doctors. And so what does that even mean in terms of like intermingling of classes and things like that? But yes, the number one piece of advice that I would give women is forget about height. I think that setting height filters just really blocks many people from seeing amazing people. And so, yes, when there's a height filter, you might feel tempted to say, okay, I'd like to date a guy who's at least 6 feet tall. And then you make your height minimum 6 feet tall. And what you may not realize is that only 14% of the American male population is 6 feet or taller. And only 3.9% of the American male population is 6'3" or taller. And so they're just thinking like, yes, that would be nice, but they don't realize these filters are acting as bouncers, where people under that height are not even making it into your club or the people that you can meet. And so there is really no evidence that height impacts long-term relationship success. And in fact, I think that maybe my hottest take here would be date the least attractive person who you're attracted to. Because you're still attracted to that person, you're caring less about what other people think, and you are really maybe finding that hidden gem. And that's a lot of the work that I do with people. It's not settling. Settling is this curse word, the S word that people are so afraid of. I'm not about settling. I'm about saying, what are the things that matter and really go after those? And what are the things that don't, and don't be distracted by them.
Can you explain the difference between maximizing and satisficing when it comes to decision making?
Yes. So there's been amazing research done by Barry Schwartz, and he has a great book called The Paradox of Choice, where he talks about these two different ways of making decisions. So maximizing is that you believe that you want to turn over every stone, you want to really do all the research, and you want to keep looking and looking and looking until you find the perfect solution. Satisficing is saying, I'm going to set a bar, and maybe that bar is really high, but once I achieve what I was looking for with that bar, I'm going to be excited about it and stop looking. And so, for example, if you are looking for an espresso machine at home, the maximizer might read the Wirecutter reviews, they might read Consumer Reports, they might go to 10 different shops, and then they finally decide on getting the Breville at-home espresso machine. But even when they are drinking it, they might think to themselves, it is a little bitter. I should have gotten this other one. I made a mistake. And there's this sense of you're never done. There could always be something better out there. Whereas the Satisficer might say, okay, Nespresso is a good brand. I will go to the downtown Nespresso store. I will buy the one that is in my price range and that the salesperson recommends, and then I will go home and feel good about it. And so the maximizers believe that they are getting the objective best result because of their research. Whereas the satisficer is the one who's actually happy. Because in the end, it's not about making the right decision. It's about how you feel about your decision. And the maximizers are never satisfied. And the satisficer is able to say, I got what I wanted and I feel good about it.
How does this manifest in dating?
This is a huge problem in modern dating where our culture generally is very focused on maximizers. And so people don't want to choose a restaurant, choose a hotel, choose a purchase without doing tons of research, right? We are the Google, Yelp, TripAdvisor generation, which is fine if you're going to Tulum and choosing among 16 Airbnbs, but it's not fine when you are choosing among thousands of potential partners. And so what does this era of maximizers do? They always keep swiping, thinking their perfect person is one swipe away. And what a satisficer does is they say, I want someone who I'm attracted to, who would fit in well with my family, who's kind and loyal, and who I enjoy talking to. And when they find that person, whatever their requirements are, they say, I found this person, they're great, I'm going to invest in the relationship. And they don't sit there saying, who else is out there? And my proverbial coaching couch is full of people who are maximizers saying, my girlfriend wants me to propose, I really like her, but she's just not interested in abstract ideas. And couldn't I just be with someone who likes trail running a little bit more? And they are imagining that they could come up with this Frankenstein person, and then that's their perfect partner, instead of saying something like, I'm really excited about the person that I found, and I am going to build the relationship of my dreams, as opposed to finding the perfect partner.
You talk about the spark, and you've got a problem with the spark. What's up with that?
Yeah, the spark is that moment where you feel instant chemistry, you feel fireworks, you feel like the whole world has stopped except for you and this person. And the spark is definitely real. I have certainly felt the spark with people throughout my life. The issue with it, and why I think it's a really big problem in modern dating, is that people are overly optimizing for it. And so my clients would say things to me like, this one guy, Jonathan, would say, I met this guy. He was great. We had a good conversation. He planned a fun date. I'm not going to see him again. And when I'd say why, he'd say, I just didn't feel the spark. And so he was going on dates expecting to have this magical moment. And so, yes, the spark is real, but we also expect to have it too often. And so there's research that only 11% of people experience love at first sight. I would also say that because of the mere exposure effect, we often like things more over time as we're more exposed to them. So it's why we might like a person who lives in our apartment building who we see every day, or you might even like a song the more that you hear it. And so the spark can grow over time. People are sometimes just very sparky. Some people are really good looking. They're really charismatic. That can also be tied to narcissism. And so certain people give everyone the spark, but you think it's something special with you. And finally, the third issue is that the spark doesn't mean that you have a long-term lasting connection. And many divorced couples or unhappily married couples started with the spark. And so it's enough to kind of get you off the ground, but not to keep going. And so my entire advice, my antidote to this is to go after the slow burn, which is the person who might not spark with you on the first date, but the more you go out with them, the more you like them over time, the more you peel back the layers and you realize how funny or curious or brilliant they are. And a lot of people have passed them by because they're not sparky, but you could wind up with this amazing, engaging partner because you were willing to give them that second look.
I think that's one of the most interesting